Now I invite Sir Professor P.K. Mukhopadhyay for delivering the keynote speech.
সদাশিব সমারম্ভান শঙ্করাচার্য মধ্যমা শ্রী গোপীনাথ পাদান্তাং বন্দে গুরু পরম বিশুদ্ধ জ্ঞান দেহায় ত্রিবেণী দিব্যচক্ষুষে শ্রেয় প্রাপ্তি নিমিত্তায় নমস্যমার্থধারিণে শ্রীরাকুশক্রমত প্রণম্য মৌলৌ নিধায় করবারি বিভীষণীয়ে বাণীয়ং বিশৃঙ্খলাপি অর্থরহিতাপি সানুগ্রহেণ হৃদয়েন বিলোকনীয়া। I will begin my talks with a few words which should be treated as off the record. Because of certain contingent reasons and because of very strong personal liking, there has been some miscommunication. Anand Mishra, your head of the department, is adamant that he will not communicate excepting through WhatsApp. P.K. Mukhopadhyay is adamant he will not use her WhatsApp. So there have been some misconception, and the reason for it we equally share. So I came to know after coming here and after Anand Mishra spoke that I am to deliver keynote address. These days, and in a particular favor Anand Mishra has shown to me for many long years, I am used to becoming simply to preside over a session. And to invite one to preside over a session means two things: secure at least one listener throughout the session. He can't leave. And the second goes in favor of the listeners, that he should not be given much time to speak, so the listeners are not to hear a long lectures, most dry and uninteresting. So I am used to that. But coming here and hearing him, I know it's a particular favor that I am to speak, give keynote address. That means I will have some time. But since I am not prepared, I will tell you something which is most unprepared. Normally I become unprepared. So you will please forgive me for that. All that I knew about this seminar from one concept note that I got, and I thought that I will speak 2-3 things just on this concept note and nothing else. I will do almost that, maybe here and there some additions to utilize the time. One new thing that I very much like to speak on is the very concept of contemporary Indian philosophy. The word is very frequently used. There are many books also on it. I have seen it. But in those volumes, the writings that are collected makes me more confused. What is contemporary philosophy? Are you not using the word philosophy in a very, very wide, unclear sense? Most of the time I do that. One reason for this is how to define contemporary philosophy. Time itself is neither past, present or future, contemporary or past. Certain event that characterizes, gives such a rather importance to time that it becomes deviated from the past, present or future. When did the ancient period stop? When exactly the modern period started, when exactly middle age started. These are all very difficult point to decide. So in the concept note, I have selected two things only. One is this seminar is devoted to contemporary thinkers or post-independence thinkers. Contemporary may be taken a little back. Post-independent thinkers in the field of Advaita Vedanta. It is clear concept, and I will have something to speak on it. And the other thing is that this contemporary or post-independent thinking on the Advaita Vedanta, apart from that, the concept note expresses a hope or a, what should I say, conclusion, and that is this: Advaita Vedanta is most dominating in the field of philosophy and also in the field of culture and civilization. These are the two main things on which I will speak, adding something more to it. The first thing is very simple, it may appear, and that is this: that in the concept note, names of many Advaita thinkers and who were also during post-independent years active. And it has been said there, the list is not complete. There may be many more others. How to complete it at all? One way is to add more names at random. If that is the case, any one of us can add any number of scholars and teachers of Vedanta all over India. I can immediately name Buddha Mishra, Ananda, Sharma, and who not. But that leads us nowhere. Just to be a teacher in these institutions or this type of institutions is not enough. One difficulty is this: most of the time, greatest of the pundits are left out, who had been very importantly taught the subject, thought about it, contributed to the development of the subject. They are about to be omitted. If it is for the historical purpose and just for record purpose, then ICPR, what along this thought in the past, ICPR took a project and more or less successfully advanced the project. There was a project of date-wise, area-wise, subject-wise list of successful PhDs. From there you can get who are the recent thinkers in what subject. But that will also give you a rather sort of a list which can suit the purpose of history or government records. Say, for example, there are so many persons who are working in this field for so many years. This will not serve any philosophical purpose. So I was thinking, the other way is to first decide upon a criterion according to which we can add names which will actually be useful for philosophical purpose. Using that criterion, and what should be that criterion? This is the first topic that I shall discuss with you. Can there be a very good, rational, relevant criterion or criteria according to which we can select scholars who have contributed to the Advaita thinking in the post-independent years? As the writer of the concept note, anyone who reads the concept note will understand who is the author, because he immediately after giving some incomplete list expresses a hope. Here also, right now he expressed it, that Vedanta is Vedanta is the most dominating system of thought or philosophy, number one, and its dominance is not confined to only academic field, but also in the greater field of culture and civilization. I will, on the second place, I will talk on this, his hope or his decision, whatever it is. To be very brief, in the beginning, I have to say that one should not be misled by it. For who, once we read the concept note and heard Ananda Sharma today in the morning, it shows he has a great commitment in the subject. For such a person, it is not easy, possible and excusable to become at least emotional. But in Indian context, we know what is a way not to be persuaded by emotion. We call it arthavad. Every sentence need not be taken in its literal sense, literally. So, to praise a subject, a person, or whatever it is, we sometimes use expressions to praise it, not to be taken literally. That doesn't mean that it is not true, but at the same time, it is not literally true. So these are the first two topics on which I should say, and the third topic I will introduce. I'm now thinking about introducing, having come to know that I will be delivering the keynote address. This is the preface. And to add to this preface first, I have no specialization in any subject. So I am not a specialist in Vedanta. Of course, who in India does not read and is not influenced by the Vedanta? Officially speaking, I have been a student of NAN. And I come from Bengal. And Bengal has been the place where Nobunna flourished. And now there are very many great Noyakos took their birth and worked there. But every one of them is a great devotee of Shankaracharya, the great personality in the field of Vedanta. And the concept note also says it is about the Advaita Vedanta that is we are going to see. But when we will see that there is some point in it that Vedanta is most dominating. Dominant is a very unacceptable word. Of course, in words or praise, I will end by saying finding a sense in which really Advaita Vedanta today is most dominating. But the reason why it is dominating, the Vedanta that dominates will bring tears to our eyes, what has become of our culture. So begin the first. What could be a good criterion? I take only two. The one is trendsetter in the field of Advaita thinking. One who has just given new direction in which very serious thinking in Advaita Vedanta should take. And let us think about the persons who have recently set trends in the Advaita scholarship, whose name should figure here. I will tell you about the two criterion. The first one is the trendsetter. The second one comes very close to it, founder of new schools of Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta. That also is a very reasonable, rational principle to choose the name of persons who can be said to or who should be included obviously in this list of great scholars in the field of Advaita Vedanta. The first one, criterion, new trendsetter in the field of Advaita Vedanta. I name only one. Maybe there are others. Satchidanandendra Saraswati. Satchidanandendra Saraswati is a unique person. His scholarship is such, I personally feel I have to born 40 times at least and to study with all enthusiasm to come a bit nearer to this person's knowledge of Advaita Vedanta. His name we do not know. It cannot be excused that we do not know, because he is not post-independent scholar. He is. He was born in 1880, but he passed away only in 1975. So he suits the criterion. Even if we consider the name of those scholars who are post-independent, then obviously Satchidanandendra Saraswati is one. And he has no match, I think, both in his project and the way he executed that project. What was the project? And why is he a new trendsetter? What new trend he said? He simply set the Vedanta thinking in the opposite direction. Vedanta scholarship proceeded from Shankaracharya to the later days. He simply tried to rather enter tradition which is post-Shankara. He said, go back to Shankara. Reject all that came after Shankara. So he just gave a opposite direction to the Vedanta thinking in modern world. And he did it with such enthusiasm, such scholarship, such devotion, that there is not a second person who can match him, who can be compared with him. So in the list of Vedanta thinkers, in the post-Vedanta thinkers, the most suitable person, according to the most rational criterion is Satchidanandendra Saraswati. The criterion is who has reversed the Vedanta thinking tradition. What is my understanding of it, that I will now tell you about. But before that, I first say what is the second criterion and who suits this purpose. The second criterion is founded new school of Vedanta. The new school of Vedanta was set in Bengal, and I call it a Bengal school of Advaita Vedanta. It was set, or it is given a tangible form when a book was published in Bengal. It is a book, actually edited book of very famous Vedanta primer, Vedanta Paribhasha of Dharmarajendra Adharendra. In this book, the editor, my revered teacher, Pandit Panchanan Shastri, added a commentary, a tika, known as Vedanta Paribhasha Sangraha. I'll tell you about this. And with this, he founded a new Bengali school. Of course, it started long back, but this book was published. So, Vedanta School of Advaita Vedanta, New Vedanta School of Advaita, New Advaita Vedanta School was given tangible form in the form of a book. And the book was published in 1961. So, it also suits the criterion post-independence. So let me say a few things about these two trends and the scholars identified. And then I come back to the question of dominance and the influence of Vedanta. Satchidanandendra Saraswati, I told you, give a reverse direction to Advaita Vedanta thinking. But to be, as far as my knowledge goes, the scholars present will correct me if I am wrong, nobody actually did serious work along the line of Satchidanandendra Saraswati, discarding the post-Shankara Vedanta and going to Shankara. I look at it, I do not agree with this tradition for another reason. I call this tradition is the tradition of going back to Vedanta as Mimamsa. Since Shankaracharya, Vedanta developed not as Mimamsa but as a distinct school of darshan. Not Mimamsa. Mimamsa and darshan, there is a difference, I tell you. So earlier, from the time of Shankaracharya, Vedanta developed more and more as a philosophy, leaving its original mooring in Mimamsa. With Shankaracharya, Vedanta had been in Mimamsa. Same thing about Ramanujacharya also, whose name will have to be thought about. They knowingly did Vedanta, Advaita Vedanta, I mean in Shankaracharya's case, knowingly did Vedanta as Mimamsa. How can it be ascertained? Ascertained from just looking at the all available editions of Shankara Bhashya on Brahma Sutra. In all these editions, you will find that it is a Mimamsa, the Mimamsa Bhashya. His book has been given as a Mimamsa Bhashya. You may say that may be a mistake of the editors. Had it been so, one very specific reference I can give. In the Janmadasya Jata Sutra Bhakya, when Shankaracharya did the Puri's Bhashya, wrote his Bhashya on this sutra, he explained that there are two ways of understanding this sutra. One option is to look at the sutra and understand it as giving proofs for the existence of God. Ishware Praman. That it is therefore, Shankaracharya would say that it is a Praman has been given. But what Praman? Praman is a Anuman Praman. It roughly means that God is He who created this world, who is the creator of the world, who controls the destruction of it. So He who created this world and destroyed it, He is no other than God. This is the clear meaning of the sutra. From Him, or who has created the world and also is responsible for its destruction. Translated in the language of philosophy, it means here is an inference from the creation of the world. We can infer the existence of God. Shankaracharya considered it, but he rejected. No. Why not? Giving inference is not the work of Vedanta. That is his rough answer is, giving inference, giving pramana is not the purpose of Vedanta. But darshan is essentially praman shastra. But if it is not the purpose of Vedanta and his bhashya to give praman, proofs, inferences, then what does it do? The answer is clear. It gives only, it examines Vedartha. Vedartha vichar or Vedo Vakku vichar is the only purpose of Vedanta. But Vakku vichar is Mimamsa. Of course, no Vakku vichar can be done without Bhaktartha vichar also. But every Vedanta Sutra, according to Shankara Bhashya, that every particular Sutra reminds us of a number of Shruti Vakyas. So it is said that in every Sutra, a number of Shruti Vakyas have been vichar. And Shruti Vakya vichar is the task of Mimamsa. Mimamsa is a system which is developed with a view to examine Vedartha taken as its whole. All the Veda Vakyas taken as a whole, they have to be examined. But for what purpose? The purpose was to find the ultimate import of the whole Vedanta as a whole. And it comes out that Mimamsa is a Shastra, the purpose of which is not to provide pramana excepting Veda Vakya. So everything that is to be proved is to be given in terms of Veda Vakya and not in terms of independent pramana. So Mimamsa is this. So there are two pramanas. One is in all editions, you will see the Bh.U written there in every Adhyay, it is Mimamsa Bh.U. Same is true about the Sri-Bh.U. In all editions, it is said it is Mimamsa. And the standard difference between Mimamsa and Darshan is that Darshan is a Pramana Shastra and it is a Vedartha Vichara Shastra. Vedartha Vichara means in every sutra, some group of Vedanta Vakyas are examined. But at the time of examination, the only supporting arguments are some other Vedavakyas and nothing else. So this is the tradition in which from the time of Sutra and Bh.U, Vedanta thinking proceeded. So you will see that in the whole of Vedanta Vakya, Vedanta Sutra, no separate Pramana was there. In the Shankar Bhashya also, not much of it. But later on, including the Vedanta Paribhasha, the later time and primary work in Vedanta, you will see the book contains what? Vedanta Paribhasha, for example, on which I say, it has some 8 chapters, most probably, yes. The first 6 are first Purmanas, and the last 2 are the fall and Vishaya. This importance of Pramana, you see, the shifting, their Pramanas are not considered at all. And here this Vedanta, as Darshan when it is developed, it was giving full attention to the Pramanas. Though in it also they were following more the Bhattas and not the Nuyaikos, but still it is Pramana Shastra. So we have enough reason to think that Vedanta after Shankar proceeded, up to Shankar proceeded as a Mimamsa. And thereafter Vedanta proceeded to develop or be developed as a darshan, as a Pramana Shastra also. What Satchidananda Saraswati is saying, that go back to Shankara and not consider about what the development later on. And this development is along the Vivarana Prasthan. After Shankaracharya, the Vedanta developed the major 3 schools were there, of which the first were Vivarana school and the Bhamati school. This way they developed. I repeat again, I am not a Vedantin, but I have some interest in it only. I am speaking. I have no right to say all these things. They are all Vedantins sitting before me. I am very much afraid if to speak about them, maybe for them. So he says that if you go back to Shankara and reject all the later development, then in my opinion, it is going back to Mimamsa, doing Vedanta as a Mimamsa rather than as a darshan. Satchidananda Saraswati, a great scholar, he need not have to be told about it, but he has his own reason why it is necessary to go back to Shankara. Because he found that post-Shankara development first was in form of the Bhashyos and Tikas and sub-Tikas on Shankara's work. It began with Panchapadika, then Panchapadika Vivarana and so on. He says all these works misunderstood Shankara. And his scholarship is fantastic. He has written 2 books, I will tell you, of which in one he has devoted Panchapadika and only basing on the Bhashya text, the Upanishad text and Sutra text, he proves that whatever has been said in Vivarana are wrong. At least it never explained Shankara's intention, that it goes as a work on Shankara's Bhashya, but they are all wrong. Shankara's Bhashya was not understood by them. There is a clear statement, there is no hesitation about this. And then he said, because of these people, Padmapadacharya onwards, they have led us astray away from Shankaracharya. So what will remain if all these are rejected, all these are removed? What remains? Shankara Bhashya. And that is a Mimamsa. So in my opinion, this is my, I owe it. My opinion, he has his own reason for this reversal, because he found that Shankaracharya was not understood properly by Padmapad, etc. But my view that it is going back to Mimamsa for a reason I have already told you. It is a hard decision for us. Should we go to Satchidanandendra? Should it be considered as a rather a reversal? Is it preferable? How to decide? Decision was to be taken by deciding whether we have got any argument for it. But the argument that will be acceptable to Satchidanandendra Saraswati, there are so many Satchidananda, Ananda, Satchidananda, and all is Vedanta. I think we people are not Ananda. The point is this: he has given, not only exposed the entire tradition of Vivarana, but he has also given us a alternative method. Very beautiful book, very scholarly book, and it has been published in Sanskrit, beautiful Sanskrit, and also it has been translated in English. The name of the book is, what's the name of the book? Huh? No. The Vedanta, it is Vedanta Prakriya Pratyabhigga. Vedanta Prakriya Pratyabhigga. This is the name. It's available, isn't it? What? Yes, it is available. Available. So this is available book. Here there is a scholar who died only in 1975. But what the Advaita Vedanta followers are doing? How many of people, Advaita Vedanta lovers are working on it, studying on it? Of course, Godavari Mishra was there, and he published a book in which I was for the honor of Srinivas Rao. There something was written about this book. And from this, one point was rather given attention to, but not other points. The importance of Satchidananda Mishra's work, so far as I said, that is Mimamsa, going back to Mimamsa, these are not tackled. But other point was noted, that the way Satchidananda Saraswati was moving, that is a disaster to later development of Vedanta, even disaster to the debate, inter-school debate within Vedanta, which is responsible for such a great development. In the inter-school debate in Vedanta is to debate between Advaita Vedanta and Dvaita Vedanta. And Advaita Vedanta, Dvaita Vedanta was debating. Dvaita Vedanta is not only one, but one of the major Dvaita Vedanta is Ramanujacharya's Vedanta, Vishishta Dvaita Vedanta. And one of the bone of contention of the quarrel between these two is Saptavidha Anubhavati of Gyan. Ogyan is a particular concept, and in a particular sense, it has been admitted by rather Advaita Prasthan. And that the essence of it is this: the Ogyan is Bhavarup, a Bhava Padartha, a positive entity. And against this Ogyan, in this sense, as admitted by the Advaita Vedantin, Ramanujacharya raised an objection. He said about at least 7 objections are there, devastating arguments are there. If Satchidananda Saraswati is followed and we stop with Shankara, then the development of the concept of Ajnana as a Bhava Padartha, which is a bone of contention between this inter-school debate, falls to the ground. Because there is no Advaita, no Ajnana on which they are quarreling. And with the destruction of it, one great reason for the debate between inter-school debate will go away. And so Advaita Vedanta, Vishishta Advaita Vedanta will also suffer. Therefore, Satchidananda Saraswati could claim, yes, it is a great achievement. All this debate was for no purpose whatsoever. There is nothing to debate on. There is nothing to quarrel on. He could say that. But you know, if that had been so, if the earlier thinkers thought about it so, then Vedanta would not have developed. So this is in short the importance of Satchidananda Mishra. Satchidananda Saraswati, the great scholar. He is a post-independent Advaitin, and Advaitin the core. But for me, it is good that scholars did not follow him. If they did, then Vedanta would not have developed. And if still we do, then it will be reversed. I prefer for myself Vedanta Darshan and not Vedanta Mimamsa. So I cannot stop with Shankaracharya. I have to develop. That is my preference. And here the Vedanta scholars are there. I have given my reason, whatever foolish reasons are there. Now I pass on to the second criterion, founding a new school of Vedanta in post-independence debate time. And that was what I call the Vedanta Paribhara Sangraha, a tika written by Panchana Shastri. And he was also, there is a parampara also, I tell you. What this book has achieved in the prior to the independence for a long time, Vedanta was dominated by scholars in which line there came Ananta Krishna Shastri. Ananta Krishna Shastri was a great Vedantin who dominated almost the whole of India. So far as the Vedanta scholarship is concerned, his books are concerned, it was dominated by him. That he has not only rather challenged the Dvaita Vedanta of Ramanujacharya, he has done Anubhabuddhi Uddhar, he has written Shatabhushani and many other works. And his one of the greatest work was Advaita Siddhi, the great works. So whoever used to work in Advaita Vedanta, they used to follow this Ananta Krishna Shastri, whether in Bengal or elsewhere. They all did it. In Bengal, however, a change came. A change was introduced by the Paramaguru of Panchana Shastri. Sakshat Guru of Panchana Shastri was Yogendranath Bakshi Shankha Vedanta Tirtha, who has published an incomplete work on Advaita Siddhi, which has been recently translated also in Hindi. No, yes, some portion is Hindi. Done it. That I don't remember. But most probably it has been in portion of it. Yes. So that maybe I may be wrong also. I don't know. But Advaita Siddhi is also Hindi available. But one portion of that was written. This Yogendranath Bakshi, he wrote a book on Advaita Siddhi with his own tika, Balavadhini. Yes, Balavadhini, yes. That is what I mean. So Balavadhini means that Advaita Siddhi is also there. This Balavadhini is some portion. The Balavadhini itself is an incomplete book. Huh?
Balavadhini is not translated.
Not translated. Most maybe. I don't know. No, not whole of. Balavadhini, the Balavadhini tika is only Pratham Mithattavad, up to Pratham Mithattavad. It was not complete. And in that portion, only one portion of it, in the not only not of covered, not even Adhyasha Lakshana is covered. The Pratham Adhyasha Lakshana Hua. With that, this new school started. But what is the newness of this school? Is in this school, or the works of this school, Ananta Krishna Shastri's interpretation and explanation of Vedanta Paribhasha have been corrected in innumerable places. Now this Guru Parampara again goes up to Lakshan Shastri Dravid. Most probably he is the father of Rajesha Shastri Dravid. Yes. Rajesha Shastri Dravid, the Pandit Raj, his father, Lakshana Shastri Dravid, he for some time had been the teacher of Calcutta University, and Yogendranath Bakshi was his great disciple, and they started a new school. New school, I call it in this way, that it did not follow the Ananta Krishna Shastri's explanation in Advaita Siddhi or even in Vedanta Paribhasha. This way, it is a new school. And this all you get very easily in the book Vedanta Paribhasha Sangraha, written in chaste Sanskrit, very beautiful Sanskrit. And I spoke about it on many occasions individually, and also I passed over the book, but nobody, I think, knows even of it. Very few people know it. This is the present state of Advaita scholarship, which Advaita is believed to be dominating. So this school is Vedanta school, a Bengal school, and new school in the sense I just told you. This observation, examination of Ananta Krishna Shastri is not found anywhere excepting in Vedanta and Bengal. So these are therefore two persons to suit the two criterion: founding a new school and founding a new trend of thinking. Having said that, let me turn to, I will return to this again, but let me turn to the other point. Dominance of Vedanta. First in the academic field, in the wider socio-cultural field. Is Vedanta dominating the academic field? Is Vedanta dominating the socio-cultural field? My answer is no. Why not? It is partially no and partially yes. Vedanta is not dominating the cultural field, and Vedanta is dominating cultural field. What does it mean? It means there are two Vedantas now going on. One Vedanta is a traditional, scholarly, conservative Vedanta that we know in the academic field. It is definitely not dominating the wider society and civilization. But very people know this Vedanta. Even the Vedanta scholars don't know Vedanta. It is not dominating us. How could we forget these things, the event I just described you? If it dominated it, the scholarly people, then you should all know at least these two. Many other things are there also I can give. Where is that domination? If the domination means that there is no development in other fields of Indian philosophy, that also is not true. But it is true that Shankha and Vedanta Daniel is doing works on Sankhya is almost forgotten, excepting in the university syllabus. These books are not studied at all. Job has some rather acceptance. Job is being talked about, but not Shankha. I think till the other day, I'm outdated now, till the other day I know that even a very correct edition of Jukti Deepika was not available in Shankha. All the editions available were deficient, needed corrections. So it will be too much to claim that one single philosophy has dominated. But it is true that only to name two philosophies that were really, in some sense, dominating scholarly world, maybe Nyaya and Vedanta. Shankha was very little studied. Think about this Varanasi itself. How many Shankha thinkers were there? Immediately preceding independence or post-independence. But Nyaya was there. The reason was why Nyaya was equally there, and importantly, one reason was there that Nyaya was believed, it has been written in the Nyaya tradition, Pradeepa Sarva Shastrana. The Vedantins studiously followed it. They also followed that knowledge of Nyaya is essential for the understanding of Vedanta, at least the Vedanta in the Shankara, post-Shankara Vedanta. All the Vedantins, practicing Vedantins, they all believe it. So therefore, partially because of their help and need, and because of the other reasons also, in its own right, Nyaya survived. There was Subramanian Shastri, there was Rajesha Shastri in Varanasi, and Rajesh Shastri was Rajadiraj, Punit Raj, and he worked in many fields. But also, he is known as a great Nayayika, no doubt about it. So, for these two reasons, and in Bengal, number of good Vedantis flourished in the period under consideration, and that we have also said that Jogendranath Bakshi is a Vedantin. He was there. But also Nyaya was also flourishing. many other things, many arguments can be given, but I just stop short of it. I decided in one way, and that is this. Is there any such important recent debates between Vedanti and Nayayika to substantiate that which prevails over which? I will point out to one such debate. I do not know. Advaitins should have relished it. The Jogendranath Bakshi, who I told you was a disciple of Lakshman Shastri Dravid and was actually the founder of the new Bengali school of Vedanta, he has said something which created a debate. Ananda should take note of it. He said, Nyaya is not a darshan and Vedanta is a darshan. That is what he said. And give an argument, I will give this argument. I at least don't accept it. His view. I am a small fry. His argument was there. A darshan shastra is one which is devoted to moksha. Darshan shastra is essentially moksha shastra. Darshan is a way of knowledge that will lead to moksha. That is acceptable all Indian philosophers. I mean, at least asking of philosophers. So, his proof is this. He used the Mimamsa proof. The Mimamsa proof of deciding the import of Tatparjatva of any text is the Tatparjatva Nirnayak Shadlinga, of which the first two are Upakram, Upasanghar. He said that in the Upakram of Nyaya Sutra, there is the talk of moksha. Jnanad Nisra Sadhi Bhama Nisra. That is moksha. But look at the Upasanghar Sutra. Upasanghar Sutra is Metta Bhasha Datakta. Hitta Bhasha Datakta. It is about Hittabhas and Nigrasthan. So even if we say the Nyaya is a Moksha Shastra, considering the Upakram of it, Upasanghar rejects it, cancels it. That is the argument. And then he said, Vedanta, however, is Moksha Shastra. I asked my Param Guru, Jogendranath Bakshi, yes, the case is just the same. In the Vedanta Sutra, it ends with Anavritti Shabdat, which roughly means it is speaking about moksha. Anavritti, asamsara, anavritti. But what about the Upakram? Atharo Brahma Jignasa. How can it be in moksha? Brahma Vichar. That has been said. So if there is mismatch in Upakram Upasanghar, in Nyaya, source is in Vedanta. Did you not know it? He definitely, he was a great scholar. This sort of man he knew. But it is zeal for Vedanta. That he made him say this thing. It's zeal for Vedanta. They should be much over it. They should not be tied to it. So it's good to have devotion to, loyalty to one's subject, a shastra, but also there should be some wide openness to accept the other evidences also. So this is one example. But the other point which I raised, whether Vedanta is not dominating that way. Of course, Vedanta, and particularly Advaita Vedanta, has no match. And in my opinion, only two are simultaneously are prominent. I should not say this prominent, definitely much more studied in the scholarly circle of Advaita Vedanta and in about socio-cultural field which Vedanta dominates. If we say Advaita Vedanta in the traditional sense of the term, I don't see it. Little truth can be assigned to it if we think of the South. In the South, still Vedanta, Advaita, more Dvaita, I think, is definitely very prominent and dominating in the socio-cultural field, definitely. But what about East, West, or West, India? North, East, West, I do not find this seat. At least from Bengal, I don't know, not even in Vedanta. Here, I think that much of uh, acceptance and culture of Advaita Vedanta among people all over of all walks of life. No, I don't see. But definitely one Vedanta which has in the uh, born itself in the 19th century end, that is dominating the socio-cultural field all over India. And that is a Vedanta, which is soft Vedanta, soft spiritualism, and it is a great taker of all people. And this is the Vedanta which was introduced in the society by a person, a single person, who is not a trained Vedantin at all, not to speak of trained Advaita Vedanta, he is Vivekananda. What goes in these days as unifying all the people, not only Indian but the whole world over, is the Vedanta of Shankara, Vivekananda. He said Vedanta gives the universal ethics and it can unite all over the world people together. And this is the message of India to the world. What is the message? All are united, everyone is the same, and his argument was simple. That once you believe that all are you, that you cannot be violent to others. For nobody is violent to himself, so this is a simple argument. But this is all right. But as an argument, it is very, very shallow. As the content is very, very shallow. I call it a popular Vedanta. So it has a great takers. And if you say there is any empirical proof, no empirical proof. If Vivekananda was successful, if he was successful spreading the view of Advaita Vedanta, then there should not have been need for any person to rise against, or there should not be any rise of conflict, violence in the society. But even after Vivekananda, Mahatma Gandhi, we needed Ananda, what Hajra? Hajra, that's the Aam Aadmi Party ka Anna Hajra. We needed Anna Hajra, and even Anna Hajra failed. Every day we are needing one people or other to unite people. So empirical proof is not there. An argument is a blatant failure. What Vivekananda did was he was confusing what is a project as what is a realized truth. All are one is a project. It is to be realized we have not realized that we were it is Advaita's message. But when the message is that if you work properly, then your end is you will become Atmai Brahma, Aham Brahmasmi. Once you do that, reach that state, all are one, no violence. But what is now? We have to reach there. We have to work for it. So what is to be attained, the goal, we are as if we have already reached it. Such an argument is doing its work by spreading its, I mean, rather soft spiritualism all over, and we are very much overwhelmed because it asks you do nothing, but you simply say all are one and we are one. This is up to the here I am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for